Hey guys, Sunjutsu here, and today I wanted to go ahead and make this video talking about Vlad von Carstein, giving you guys a little bit of information on him. That way you're plenty prepared for his arrival as a free LC in the next couple of weeks. But at the same time, if you don't really know, go ahead and check out the rest of the video. But if you do know, this video, well, listen to some of the things I have to say, but if it's not, then this video is probably not for you if you already know a lot about him. I'm not really going to go into great detail, but I'll go ahead and touch on some of the great important things about this character and why he is so important. So let's go ahead and start off with Vlad von Carstein. Now, in his former life, it seems like prior to becoming a vampire, he was Vahanesh of Nekahara. So he is actually of the direct bloodline of Nagash. Now, going back to that era, Vlad, known then as Vahanesh, he was part of the army of General Setep of Kemri. Now, he was a master tactician, and he was going to war against Neferata, and the reason for this is because Neferata had transformed herself into a vampire. So what does Vahanesh do, or Vlad? I'm going to go ahead and call him Vlad for this, that way it's not too confusing, because he's later known as Vlad. But what does Vlad do? He betrays Setep of Kemri and travels to Lamia to warn Neferata of the planned attack. She was impressed by Vlad so much that she gave him the elixir of life, which, with all intents and purposes, seems to have transformed him into a vampire. Together they ruled until King Alkedazar waged war against them, trying to take Lamia for himself. When they reached Lamia, they were horrified to find that not only were they facing the soldiers of Lamia, but they were facing the undead as well. In the end, all was lost. They just lost the temples, they lost the city, and the vampires fled north until they came across Nagash, who had been reborn and was raising an army of the dead for himself. Nagash gave Vlad a position of leadership in his armed forces and crafted a ring that allowed the vampire that wore it to be revived instantly as soon as they died, which was a lot easier than the normal conventional way of being revived. Vlad accepted the ring, and he also accepted Nagash's command and led the undead army along with the vampires to Kemri. Since Vlad was bound by the power of the ring, and so were the other vampires, he could not disobey Nagash. So in battle, he allowed himself to be cut down, and at that point, the other vampires were free of Nagash's control and fled. The reason being for this is because Nagash threw the vampires at the city's walls and at the enemy without really caring about the vampires' well-being or using them in any tactical sense. So the vampires thought it'd be better to go on their own. Now, after Vlad was brought back to life, he decided to go ahead and run off on his own and hid in the lands of Kislev. And going by the name of Vladimir, he tested his powers and the powers of the ring and lay hidden for many centuries. Now, years later, going to the lands of Sylvania, we have Otto von Drack, and he is the Count of Sylvania. And he's laying on his deathbed in Castle Drakenhof, cursing the gods because he has no heir for him to leave his kingdom behind. He only has a daughter, but he would rather marry his daughter, as he had said, to a demon than marry her off to anybody in his kingdom. And that's when Vlad comes in, now taking the name Vlad von Carstein, walks right in and proposes his hand to the Count's daughter. And the Count, looking at his eyes, looking deep in his eyes, knowing that he had made a mistake by wishing to marry her off to a demon, but he swore on it, so he had to. And just like that, the Carstein bloodline was born, and he controlled all of Sylvania, even making his new wife eventually into a vampire, making the nobles into vampires, holding absolute control over Sylvania and its peasant populations. But by the time the peasants and the rest of the world realized that a vampire was ruling, a province of the Empire, it was far too late, and he had full control over his dominion. Now in the year 2010, over the battlements of Castle Drakenhof, Vlad showed the entire world the truth that him and all the nobles had become vampires, that Sylvania was now a vampire province. And with the power of one of the books of Nagash and Warpstone recovered from Mordheim, Vlad used all his power to summon all the dead across the entire province of Sylvania. This was the beginning of the first vampire wars. Now he crossed the River Ster and headed to Talabheim, and with every province that he encountered, every castle, every city, every peasant, he gave them an offer. He gave them clemency and mercy, or if they opposed him, absolutely no mercy. And now the forces of Talablanc, they warred against Vlad, but they were no match for the constantly reanimated corpses that came from the ground below. As one zombie fell, 3 or 4 more came up in its place, and the never-ending army of zombies dragged down soldiers and generals. He then set his sights on Middenheim, but was cut down only to return and ravage Middenland with all his forces. And yet he still offered them peace. He offered them a bargain. Serve him and live, oppose him and die. Nothing seemed to stop Vlad. Every time it appeared he had been slain, he would return to wreak his revenge, destroying all in his path. By the winter of 2051, the Sylvanians laid siege to Altdorf, which is the capital of Reichland. The city was surrounded, and every effort that the defenders made to repel the zombie and undead forces was completely destroyed. With all hope lost, Vlad gave the usual ultimatum. He told them, open the gates and serve him in life, or fight him on and serve him in death. Now Ludwig, the Reichland's claimant to the imperial throne, he wanted to surrender. He wanted it all to stop. But the Grand Theogonist, or Theogonist, Wilhelm III, high priest of the cult of Sigmar, he convinced him to defy Vlad. And he had a plan. That same day, he dispatched an agent named Felix Mann, who was the greatest thief of the age so far, to steal the ring that gave Vlad his eternal life. So he infiltrated the Sylvanians' camp and snuck into Vlad's tent, taking the ring right off his finger. And to this day, no one knows what became of Felix Mann or the ring. But when Vlad woke, it's an understatement to say he was pissed off. With all his rage, he ordered an immediate attack on the city, completely destroy it, or to completely destroy it and wipe it off the face of the map. And on top of the battlements, Wilhelm and Vlad fought among all their forces at the center, at the heart of the battle. And after an hour of combat, holy hammer against magical blade, Vlad gained the upper hand, only because Wilhelm was made of flesh and blood and he was tiring, while Vlad, there was no end in sight. Wilhelm, knowing that he would lose, decided last-ditch effort, and he charged his opponent and flung himself and Vlad over the battlements, and the two fell, locked in an embrace of death, and Vlad's body was impaled by a wooden spike at the bottom of the battlements. Wilhelm landed right on top of him through the same spike, driving the Count still further on through the wooden spire. And with an awful scream, the Count died. And without the magical ring, he wasn't to come back anytime soon, or at all. With Vlad dead, his army began to crumble, and the Sylvanians were forced to lift the siege and retreat. The casualties were so great for the Reichlanders that they could not pursue. And the last casualty of the day was Isabella von Carstein, the vampire's wife from so long ago who he turned. The reason he got to rule Sylvania in the first place. She threw herself on the battlements as well and killed herself. And that was the end of Vlad. Up until this point. Now there are further versions, end times and all that, and even right now Vlad will be coming back to Total War Warhammer, so hopefully he gets a story explaining a little bit more about him. But that's basically it. That's the gist of the most important things that I kind of really like out of the story of Vlad von Carstein. I probably did miss a lot, so if I missed anything that you guys found really important that I should have added, put it in the comments section below, guys. Let me know. Again, this was mainly for people who don't really know too much and wanted to know more. At the same time, if you do want to know more, go ahead and visit the Wikipedia page for Warhammer Vlad von Carstein. You can find all that information right there. That's the same place that I used. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let's see if we get our 50 likes for this badass vampire. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, become a subscriber today. This is gonna be Sunjutsu signing off. I'm not really gonna go into great detail, but I'll go ahead and touch on some of the great important things about this character and why he is so important. So let's go ahead and start off with Vlad von Carstein. Talking about Vlad von Carstein, giving you guys a little bit of information on him. That way you're plenty prepared for his arrival as a free LC in the next couple weeks. But now, in his former life, it seems like prior to becoming a vampire, he was Vahanesh of Nekahara. So he is actually of the direct bloodline of Naga. At the same time, if you don't really know, go ahead and check out the rest of the video. But if you do know, you know, this video, well, listen to some of the things I have to say. But if it's not, then this video is probably not for you if you already know a lot about him. Hey guys, Sunjutsu here, and today I wanted to go ahead and make this video